Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Rapid Recap here at Inside Nebraska. With me as always is Tim Verghese. I'm Zack Carpenter. And before we get going here, I encourage you guys to like this video, subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel, get all these videos dropped directly into your feed. You don't even got to do nothing, Tim. Yeah. We're just going to drop them right in there for you, man. And we're getting close to 10,000 subscribers. Free gift for our 10,000th subscriber. I'm going to give you $10,000 personally. So whoever that, no, I'm just kidding with you. I mean, that's for my future kids' college fund. Come on, man. 14-7 win, Nebraska over Rutgers. Vibes are happy right now because we get to talk about another Nebraska win, and we get to use the word gritty and gutty performance because it was exactly, it wasn't the type of score. I don't know. We did our bold predictions, and it's like this was the exact type of game we expected, just maybe not the exact type of score. But I mean, the last time that these two played, it was 14-13 Nebraska and at Rutgers 2 years ago. So Tim, just take it away, man. What number one prevailing thought after this game? It got to be about the defense, right?
It has to be about the defense. I mean, just like so many things to look back on. I think 2 of 16. Rutgers was 2 of 16 on third down. 2 of 6 on fourth down. After Kyle, they ran for 70 yards in the first quarter. After that, they ran for 8 total yards.
They had three straight rushes where Kyle Monungai totaled 35 yards. It was 17 yards, 3 yards, 15 yards. It's like on their very first drive.
And you got a bad omen pretty early on. It was like, we kind of looked at each other in the press box like, hey, if they're doing this now, what does this look like in the fourth quarter? Nebraska's defense stepped up. You know, we kind of talked about it in the press conference and across the board, but they kind of changed things up schematically, gave them a different look up front, and were able to just pretty much stop the run. Again, we talked about going into this game. It's about forcing Ethan Kaliak-Manners to beat you. Nebraska did that, and Ethan couldn't do it.
Like, he had a couple good. He had the one big, like, Eli Manning to Mario Manningham in the Super Bowl, that big throw down the left sideline, backed up against zone end zone. But beyond that, he was bad. He was inaccurate all day, and they made Ethan Kaliak-Manners try to beat him, but he couldn't do it, like you said.
Yep. And I think the biggest statement is that goal line stand, 6 plays inside the 5-yard line.
It was what do you say? 5 plays inside the 2, and another from the 5-yard line.
Another from the 5-yard line. So, but yeah, 6 plays, and Nebraska didn't let up a point in that moment. That's about as good as you can get from a defensive front. You know, bailing out. You know, poor special teams unit. You know, we'll talk special teams here in a sec, but. Can we have a Brian Buschini minute real quick?
Let's have that minute.
Appreciate what he did today. You know, got injured pretty early on that blocked, or the first one that they got the hand on.
Yeah.
They kind of flipped him. Yep, they deflected him, and you could tell he was just pretty messed up after that. But he came out, had another punt block, but still, you know, continued to get out there and do his best with some poor snaps, some poor execution from the blocks, and you know. Flipped the game for Nebraska. Had that 4th down conversion that kept the drive alive for Nebraska. A dime.
Fake punt. It was that spiral looked good, man.
Good throw. Good throw. And you know, they kind of talked about it afterwards, but you know, kind of everyone wanted Jalen to break that last tackle and score a touchdown. But you know, you take what you get. And then at the end of the game, that punt that pretty much sealed the game for Nebraska. You know, Nebraska backed up, not able to get anything going offensively, and trying to put this game away late. And Buschini just came out there and flipped the field, like literally flipped the field to the point that Rutgers had to go 90 yards to try and tie the game up. And again, that's on Ethan Kaliak-Manners. They couldn't do it. Yeah,
I mean, I think Brian Buschini, you do the grades. Tim does the post-game grades after every game, and it was like, all right, every non-Brian Buschini player on special teams, F. But Brian Buschini, A+.
A+.
Because truly. He got flipped over, his back got full, he got reverse jackknife on that first punt, and then he was holding his back, he was down for a while, and then after getting flipped by Rutgers, he flipped the field at the end to essentially seal it, because the way Nebraska's defense was playing lights out for pretty much all but one drive today in the second half. The entire game, they were just lights out. I guess the first drive for Rutgers, and then their touchdown drive in the second half. But going back to the Buschini punt that got blocked and the goal line stand, there was a play. It's a very underrated, unheralded play by Nate Borkacher, who that punt gets blocked, gets returned 15 yards to the 2-yard line. It should have been 17 yards and a touchdown, but Nate Borkacher comes screaming, just comes bombing from the back. Takes a pursuit angle that like they teach you in Madden. We always used to joke about, look at that pursuit angle. I know it's a 90-yard run, but I knocked you out the 1-yard line because of that pursuit angle. Life is all about the pursuit angles, and life on Saturday for Nate Borkacher was about the pursuit angle, because he makes that play, to knock him out knock Rutgers out at the 2-yard line, give the defense a chance. The first play, Isaac Gifford TFL for 3 yards, and then Deshaun Singleton defensive holding in the end zone that sets them up again at the 1-2 yard line. And you're thinking, oh man, here we go. It's going to be 14-7. Everything's going to change. The offense has been stagnant. Dylan Raiola has worst performance so far throughout his 6 games so far. But the defense stepped up, like you said. I mean, that Deshaun Singleton, he made up for the defensive hold where I think it was second or third down, and it was destined to be a touchdown. It was a wide open 1-yard touchdown reception.
It's right there.
And Singleton exploded out, tackled him, wrapped up for a 1-yard loss. And next thing you know, they have a goal line stand eerily similar to the Illinois goal line stand last year. I mean, it was in the 6th game of the season last year where Nebraska, 2 plays in a row, at least had to, from the 1-yard line, had to stuff Illinois. That changed the entire complexion of the game, damn near turned the entire complexion of their season around. And I think that goal line stand,
it sets a tone for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's the exact same type of thing we could be looking back on in a few weeks and saying that was it, man. That was the turnaround.
And we've talked to these guys in press conferences. We see the way they're interacting in the hallway. We've talked all offseason into this season about how this year is all about baby steps for Nebraska, like learning how to do specific things. They learned how to win a close game today. They learned how. When you're not getting everything you want out of the offense, which we'll get to in a second, but you're not getting everything out of the offense, you find ways to win. And they found ways to win, whether that was, and again, a relatively poor day across the board special teams, but your punter comes through for you. Defensively, you come up with some pretty big stands. You let up a couple passes, but on 3rd down, you come through and you hold them. You answer some questions. And Tony White, like a couple weeks ago, some questions about, hey, is this unit taking a step back? And people were like, hey, Tony White, maybe he let a lot of this future head coach talk get to his head. Nope, still the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Rutgers, what we were worried about, they had the best rushing offense in the Big Ten. The star running back.
Yeah, I just want to point something out real quick. This offensive line per PFF, and again, it's PFF grades is what it is, but they graded out as one of the best, if not the best, in the country. And their tackle play specifically had been good. James Williams got after him with 2 sacks. He's had a hell of a season, especially the last 2 games. But James Williams got after him. Ty Robinson got after him. The D-line was able to get after this offensive line that is considered one of the best in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, James Williams, I was watching him on the second sack. I just happened to get eyes on him the whole time, and he does a Dwight Freeney-style spin move to the inside on a stunt, comes up, huge 3rd down sack. He had a good game. Marquise Buford deserves a shout-out. Sierra Wright deserves a shout-out. And Kyle Monungai, we were so worried about the rushing offense because it's like, all right, if they pop those 2-yard runs, if they get 4 yards on what should have been a 2-yard run over the course of time, if they keep grinding away, it's going to wear on Nebraska's defense like it did for the Illinois game. That's what the concern was. That didn't really happen. And my bold prediction coming into the game was Kyle Monungai and Rutgers, the team was going to get held to less than 140 yards rushing because only twice in the Tony White defensive era has Nebraska allowed more than 140 yards rushing at home. One was Michigan, which is an outlier, 249, and then Iowa last year, 166. And it looked like they were going to get that in the first half. So, I mean, it looked like they were going to get that in the first drive. And I'm sitting here laughing like, well, I did less than 100 yards of total offense for you and I before that game, and I was dead wrong. Bold prediction for that. I'm like, well, all right, I'm swearing off any opponent yardage bold predictions, and that's like, okay, it's halftime. They have 74, 72 yards. So I know sack yards is taken into account, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they stuffed the arguably the best running back in the Big Ten, but for sure top 3, top 4, one of the elites.
One of the better running backs in the Big Ten, which was pretty much stuffed today after a pretty strong first quarter. Nebraska's offense struggled today. We struggled to run the ball, struggled to throw the ball. Weird winds carried balls for everybody. I think overall this was the worst performance of Dylan Raiola's young career. Completion percentage is less than 50. Typically an efficient guy. Wasn't super efficient today. Kind of what do you make of this? Is just, again, freshman struggles. We knew this was bound to happen at some point. The fact that it's happening 6 games into the year is pretty impressive. Again, he gets 6 games of pretty strong play.
Yeah, I mean, the Illinois game is where it's like we think maybe something like this would happen just because of the way that Illinois ran, tricky defense, disguising coverages, shifting things pre-snap. But it turned out it was the Rutgers game because they run this NFL-inspired defense with a lot of two deep looks. The interception that he had, it looked like he was staring right at the guy. He was right in his line of sight, just floated it up. And I don't know, but it looked like, to me, without asking him about it or anything like that, it just looked like the snap was high. It was a few inches above his head, so he had to grab that. And it took his eyes off the field for a quarter second too long. Mm-hmm. And I think the pre-snap read, he saw double safety look. He knows he has Isaiah Nair coming on a crosser, a slant or an in-breaking route, mm-hmm. And probably determined, okay, this pre-snap look is exactly what I want on that play. But then he didn't see, because he had to take his eyes off the snap, he didn't see that safety on the right hash come down at the last second at the snap, and then he was right there in the throwing window, and that was it. But Dylan, I think it was a lot to do with Rutgers defense having him off kilter, I think Matt Rule said that they had like Mike linebackers playing defensive end, defensive ends
all over the place,
Mike linebackers. So the point was to cause chaos and get a quarterback who's only in his sixth start a little frustrated and like, all right, where am I going? What am I seeing? And we saw that hesitancy a lot. So I think it's one of those things. It's like the Illinois loss in overtime and the missed throw. I actually kind of like it. Mm-hmm. I kind of like seeing that. Like, call me a masochist or whatever you want, but I think that's one of the most fun parts about the Dylan Raiola experience is watching him grow, and we're seeing that play out right now.
The highs and the lows. This is year one for him. He's got a whole bye week, and we can get into that in a second. But a whole bye week to kind of stew on this and try and grow from this ahead of another tough test in Indiana. I guess going to the bye week, kind of what is your thoughts on this team sitting at 5-1?
Yeah, and we'll wrap up because we're about to get kicked out of here by this nice gentleman who's working at the practice facility. But last thing is just, it's going to be Indiana beat Northwestern today. They're 6-0, 5-0? 6-0. Unbeaten in the conference, and Indiana and Nebraska both on bye weeks, and Indiana's going to stay ranked. And if Arizona beats Texas Tech tonight, or if Texas Tech beats Arizona tonight, Nebraska's probably going to wind up taking that 24th or 25th spot based on some of the results. So you're getting another test, and then you're getting another test at Ohio State. So the bye week could not come at a more perfect time after 6 games in a row, 3 games in the Big Ten, where two of the most physical teams in the conference in Illinois and Rutgers. So to just get out of here with the win, who cares? If you have one more point, if it was 2-0, it doesn't really matter. You came out of here with the win, so that's the perfect scenario.
Big Ten game. This was a Big Ten game. We felt that going in, and exactly what it was.
Exactly. So that's going to do it for us. We want to keep this short as is. Again, we'll be back out here on whenever the next press conference is with Matt Rule, probably on Monday, I would assume, for the bye week. But again, encourage you guys to like this video, subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel, get all these videos dropped directly into your feed. I was kidding about the $10,000. Please don't take that for real. Not giving out $10,000.
Do subscribe.
But please do subscribe. Yes. And visit InsideNebraska.com for all of our written coverage as well. So for Tim Verghese, I'm Zack Carpenter. We'll catch you guys again next time.